This past weekend, we watched game one of the Eastern and Western Conference Finals now that the shitty play-in tournament is over. And for the most part, all the home teams won their opening matchups. However, the Orlando Magic pulled off a surprising upset and defeated the number one seeded Detroit Pistons 112 to 101. Do you all think this was an outlier win due to rust, or did we overlook the Magic?
I think a little bit of both, man. I really think it's a little bit of both. I think that the Magic caught lightning in the bottle at the right time. I really think that that game that they lost to the Sixers woke them up, and it made them step up. And they came to play against Charlotte, and they haven't stopped playing since, if that makes sense. And I think that they figured out a formula that works. Banchero's getting it done. He's getting some help from the others. Everybody's stepping up and playing well. But I do think Detroit took them lightly. I really do. I think that Detroit came in the game and they were not ready to play for whatever reason. And a couple of those guys did not show up during, especially stood out to me. We talked about it in the chat. B told me he's not a Robin. And I said, B, I'll give him one more game. He got to step up this next game. Duran got to have a game of his life this next game. But I think that Detroit will still win the series. I think Detroit is 6. But I think that Orlando does deserve some credit. I feel good for Mosley keeping his job now. So
he ain't keeping a job, bro. They said no matter what. They said no matter what happens this season, he out, bro. When your boss tell you that, bro, he just there to get his check. That's all he is.
Well, yeah, I think
they already said he don't. I'm assuming that it's Ponch. He don't get along with their star player. Because if you watch the huddles and stuff, like we was watching the game, he's standing back. He like very distant from the coach.
Mm.
So it's a decision between him and the coach, and they get into the coach.
Yeah, the coach got to go every time in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that Orlando caught him off guard, and that can happen in these playoffs. These are it's 7-game series, no matter what. In most cases, you got to win 4. So I'm not surprised by some of these teams stepping up. And Orlando winning their first game, they just stayed on that heater they were on in the series before. I think Detroit gonna come out like a monster tomorrow, and you'll see Detroit back on their stuff.
I feel like that we may have done a disservice to Orlando. They have been playing do or die basketball because they were a play-in team, so their seriousness started earlier than Detroit. Detroit had like a whole week off. BZ even has that conspiracy kid that they lost on purpose so they can face Detroit based off of matchups. Because now everybody's talking about Orlando is a very bad team for Detroit matchup wise. Because like it seems like everybody on their team is at least 6'4" and up. Yeah. So like it's a lengthy, tall, athletic team. And Detroit only has one guy that you can really rely on offense. So, and it showed. Like, I haven't seen Paulo play like that in a minute since Duke. Like that nigga was even when Dern was on him when he came out and he hit that mid-range jump shot off. It was clean, Ken. Like it was straight nylon. Like it was like, okay, these guys is playing. And then defensively, Suggs came out of nowhere like he was back at. Didn't he play at UConn? Like he was playing for back in Connecticut. It was like he was all over the place. He was a pest. I'm not gonna say Detroit like is in trouble because game ones are always easy to steal, especially a team that's been on a lot of rest. And we also forget that this Detroit team is still very young. This is their second go round in the playoffs. Like again, that's why I've been arguing with FIFA about these young teams with these high expectations. Is like as we looking right now in San Antonio facing Portland may be able to steal this game and that changes the series. It's like you got to be careful with how much you disregard experience. So I think that while Detroit should win this series, I'm not saying that Orlando's going to get the upset, but if Detroit doesn't win game 2, it's ugly. Like, because then you're going on a road with a young team that hasn't been down 0-2 like this before since playing the Knicks, probably. You know what I'm saying? So this is a must-win game for Detroit. Somebody has to step up. Durant has to. Well, he only had like 7 points last game. Like Durant has to at least get double digits, or at least be a pest defensively.
He got to have a double.
Yeah. There's no question with that.
He need to D up on Franz Wagner. That's what need to happen. Like if he could stop Franz, then they would have a better shot in this game.
Now at McDonald's, wake up to a $4 breakfast meal deal. Wake up to a sausage McMuffin or sausage biscuit, to hash browns, and wake up to a hot coffee. Get your $4 breakfast meal deal.
Limited time only. Prices and participation may vary. Prices may be higher for delivery. Working on building a dream space, but don't know where to start? At the Home Depot, we can help you bring your dream project to life. Whether you're building a backyard oasis, a podcast studio, or a wellness space, we've got everything you need in store and online. With project guides and free delivery options, it's easy to go from dreaming to doing. The Home Depot, how doers get more done.
I don't think it's a must win though. I think that Detroit has the best player in this series. And I think from top to bottom, they may have a better roster. Yeah, the matchups are bad, but I do think Cade can take over and nobody will be able to stop him. Paulo's good, but he ain't Cade. He ain't in MVP discussion. So I think since they have the best player, I still favor Detroit. Even if they go down 0-2, I could see them going to Orlando and winning 2. And then coming back to Detroit 2-2, and then it's game on. Game 5 is the must-win game. So, yeah, I wouldn't even be worried if they lost this game close. I think they're still figuring out the matchups because they're young. And I think that the main thing is them stopping Franz. Like Franz, he was barbecuing them the last game, and they have to find an answer for that even more so than Paulo, because he's going to get his. Suggs going to be hit or miss. I think when you go on the road, he's been good, but that ain't going to be consistent later in the series because role players like him play better at home. So he may have a couple good home games. I don't know if that's enough to carry them to win. So I still don't think Detroit is in trouble, even if they lose this game.
That's nuts.
It is. And
they got the best player in the series.
Doesn't matter.
Do they?
It does.
With a collapse lung?
That's the biggest part.
He ain't hurt no more.
Well, so I'm concerned. I'm concerned because streaks carry some history and at times relevancy to them. They haven't won a playoff game since 2008. We can look at the context of those games, but nevertheless, the streak is still intact. They have to break the streak to prove to themselves that they're serious. And you would have thought, at least I would have thought, that they would have came out and played with more urgency than they did in that game, especially with the experience that they had last year. They won, as B reminded us, every game on the road and lost all the games at home. So we chalked that up to inexperience. Well, now they got the experience. So, and they went 2-2 against Orlando this season, if I'm not mistaken. And the reason why I don't think it's much, it doesn't make much of a difference that Cade is the best player in the series, because if Banchero is on his game, then he can match him. And then you got Desmond Bane. There's no Desmond Bane on Detroit. There's no Wagner on Detroit that can go out and put up 10 in the fourth quarter, and they couldn't stop him. And he's kind of been up and down since I think he came back from the injury. So they have, in terms of like players, quote unquote, big three on that team. Right now it's just Cade, and everybody else just fit into the role. And Cade is doing his sort of LeBron thing where he's the best player and he kind of gets everything else going. But he was pushing and he couldn't crack the code. Now I give it to Orlando. They did a good job of weathering the storm every time Detroit made a push, but they got a lockdown defensively. That's where they made their mark. And hopefully wait for the Magic to go back to this Jekyll and Hyde sort of team that they've been all year. But part of that was the issue that they were having in the locker room. So to Nick's point, them being in playoff mode could have caused them to kind of, develop a tighter unit to be focused on the mission. And they heard the talk. They had something to prove. So we'll see what happens in game 2, but they absolutely got to win game 2. And I'll tell you why. Psychologically, you start thinking about that losing streak as a young team.
You do.
Because maybe that would expose. Has Detroit been listening to the news and looking at their own press clippings too much, saying like, oh, if we face Boston, if we face New York, we good, and forgot about like, oh yeah, we got to get out the first round first. You know what I'm saying? Like, because they over there thinking about the down the line how we match up with the big boys. It's like, nigga, again. Orlando, the defense they had in game 1, I've never really seen that like playoff wise. They was locking niggas up. And then you also looked at how much talent they have actually on their roster, because they've been picking in the top 5, top 10 for the last few years too. So it's like, okay, like if they actually get this shit together, and then you got a coach who don't give a fuck, so he gonna be trying all types of shit because he getting fired regardless. This is a dangerous they're gonna be. And it's also interesting because they're going to be to Detroit what Detroit was to others last year. A dangerous team that is young, and you may not want to see them in the first round. You know, and again, now that Detroit has been putting a lot of people on notice, because I've seen a lot of their fans talk about no one's really talking about us really competing, or they counting us out. It's like, all right, there's a team that's targeting your ass right now, and you ain't been in that situation in a while because y'all just started winning games. How do you respond back in game 2 at home? Because you're going on the road for the next 2 weeks, or at least week and a half.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That means you ain't gonna have the Detroit. You ain't gonna have Easy in the stands.
Right.
It's gonna be another motherfucker. You have a Florida man cussing your ass out, calling you a nigga.
Right. They got to take this next game personal, man. They really, really do. You got beat at your own game, which is a physical style game, and they really, really, really got to take game 2 serious and take it personal and come out and establish dominance early. They got to. Not only do they have to win, they have to win impressively. If you ask me,
you know what I'm about to say, Sheldon. They got to. Tobias Harris has to have a game.
Yeah, you're gonna have to have that early. That's saying a lot, Ken, but it's true.
He has to have a game because that's the only Robin that you can see.
The game dependent on Tobias Harris, it's rough.
You don't think he can get you one?
He can. He definitely can get you one. He can get you one.
Tobias Harris. No,
he can get you one where he hits some big shots.
I would bet.
3 years ago. Maybe
I would bet
ago
money.
He had about 4 open shots that he missed.
Durant
can get you one before Harris could.
He was.
No, I'm saying that. I'm hoping that. Well, I'm hoping that we see a different story from him at least in this next game.
Durant can go crazy. Well, not go crazy, but he, like one of y'all just said, do his job, the rebound and putbacks, dunk backs, and be a presence inside, because they didn't have any presence watching the game like in the middle as they was driving down the lane at Orlando, for that matter. Like Franz was able to do whatever he wanted to do. It just so happened he missed some shots. But if they had a presence on the inside, that would go a long way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Durant was letting Wendell Carter Jr. push him around.
Paulo threw the ball up in the he threw the ball up in the air like it was a hot potato. All of a sudden, Wendell Carter come out of nowhere yamming on Darren. I'm like, oh yeah, this must be an off night, because these niggas was just like, I hadn't seen Detroit get bullied like that all season.
Ever. I ain't never seen him get bullied all
season. I'm like, bro, and that's me. I'm like,
Isaiah Stewart. What was he at? Like, he's supposed to be a defensive stopper, right?
He played, but he.
No, I know he played. It didn't look like.
That's what I'm saying. He wasn't. They couldn't do nothing with them boys. They just couldn't do nothing with them. That was not their night.
And during he had a pretty bad playoff series last year, didn't he?
I don't remember.
I don't think he was.
But he had But this year was supposed to be. He had a great season, so I'm expecting him to at least contribute. You were leading that team down the stretch when Cade was out. You kept them relevant. You got to show up in a game like this. And like I said, if nothing else, I think he only had like 4 or 5 rebounds, or 5 rebounds, I think, total. That was ridiculous in itself. Like, you got to control that glass.
He was a waste of space. He was a waste of space in that game.
He really was. And I'm talking about no help side defense whatsoever. They were blowing, the guards were just getting right to the basket, like, with no help. And it was just way too much. I looked at him. If you asked me to put this game on one person, he's the guy I'm putting it on.
Yeah, because Cade had damn near 40.
Yeah, Cade did his part. Yeah. And then she posted it. I was gonna say something about
this?
that.
How the hell did
Hold on.
I thought I sent y'all that.
Hold on. Angel Reese dated Dern and his Wendell Carter.
Yeah, she posted Wendell Carter dunking on Dern. They was like, I couldn't come outside after
Let
this.
me know.
She
Hey,
posted.
let me know your theory ain't true, Nick. If she date those NBA players she dating,
Yeah.
she ain't dropping out the WNBA, bro.
Why you saying that?
Dating Durant and what the fuck is the other nigga name?
Wendell Carter Jr.
She
Yeah,
wanted to
Wendell.
see with them niggas. Like, come
Dude,
on,
hey, kid, she call him Dub C and behind closed doors.
Oh man.
And so Nick theory is the Angel is going to quit the WNBA and just go be a mega star doing other stuff. And I'm saying if she dating Wendell Carter and Duran, that ain't possible. Sorry.
Anyway.